Welcome back to another episode of the Real Table Podcast with your host, Michael Carter. And I'm with Josiah Barnes. Josiah, what's up, bro?
What is up, man?
Man, it's been, I think, a little bit over a week now. But now we're finally back. I got married about, I think, over a week ago now. I got married, and then right after that, we went on a honeymoon, which was great, and I'm excited. We're gonna get her on here again, probably for Wicked. We'll see.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, she's really, really excited about Wicked. Big musical girl. But yep, had to go get married, honeymoon, and all that stuff, and so we took a little break. But I knew we couldn't just come back and just hop right in and just do one of the episodes of the Penguin. Like, we got to keep this thing going. We got to go back to what? It was episode 4, and then we got to talk about episode 5. And this show, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper, and it's really good storytelling. Josiah, what do you like? What between the two episodes? Like, how have you been feeling?
So, I will say that out of all 5 episodes, episode 4 was my least favorite.
Okay.
For real quick, does my audio sound okay?
Yeah, your audio sounds really good.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's not that it was a bad episode. It was a good episode. I just feel like that storyline we've seen before many times of like getting locked up in a place you shouldn't be wrongfully, and they're mistreating the people in here. Oh my gosh! Like, I was like, okay, I know it's important. Mm-hmm. I think Cornelius was right about that being a Sophia centric episode.
Yeah.
So I thought that it was all right. I did like the beginning with the other side of that conversation. You know, in episode 3, we see Victor pulling up in the car. We see Oz and Sophia on their knees. And then he pulls up, hits the guy, and they escape. So seeing the other side of that, of actually what was said, first 2 minutes, cat's out of the bag, man. Sophia knows.
Yep.
Sophia knows. I was panicking because I was like, Eve and the girls are still in the club.
Yep.
But we see Sophia get knocked out, and I did appreciate Mrs. Maroney kind of leveling with Sophia and like giving her, like empathizing with her. She's like, I thought you told him to have your brother killed, but she's like, you didn't even know, did you? So Sophia's like, so she's like, he's playing us both, basically.
Right.
And then I did like the end where she gives that whole speech of, I'm going away and I don't belong here anymore. And then I was like, dang, dude, just wiped them all out.
Dude.
So yeah, that was all my overall thoughts. It wasn't a bad episode. It's just my least favorite thus far.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I liked seeing her backstory. I thought it was very interesting to see because it helps you put a lot of things into perspective of where this character is coming from and all that stuff. But I do agree. It is a trope that has been used a lot, so I can see how that can be like your least favorite episode for sure. But yeah, I thought it was well done. I thought it was interesting that she, because of who she was, she wasn't always, she was actually probably, I would say, she wasn't crazy. Like, her father set her up basically and put her in this position to make her get to this point where she despises anyone and everything. That was against her, at least, during that time. So yeah, it was definitely, I thought it was an episode that we kind of needed. So we can fill in who she is as a character. And then the ending really continues to forward the plot when she kills basically her whole family besides her, I guess, her cousin's daughter or whatever.
The thing I was wrong about, though, is I knew about the recast. I knew John wasn't going to be able to come back.
Yes.
So I thought the person that they had cast was based off of the picture with the sunglasses. I thought it was John Slattery from Iron Man 2 who played Howard Stark, because they looked a lot alike. If he had sunglasses on, I thought that's who it was. And then I saw an article saying it was Mark Strong. I said, what? That was Mark Strong?
Yeah.
I knew it was Mark Strong before I watched the episode. So it wasn't necessarily jarring. I said, okay, if it was a flashback 10 years ago, He could just
it
be like a slightly younger version, so
it
that
can
didn't
work.
bother me as much.
Yeah, it can
And then
work.
I do think going back to my point of Sophia and Catwoman is another point they could connect on and maybe have like a Nebula Gamora relationship is the fact that he also killed Sophia's mom. So he
Yeah,
killed Catwoman's mom, and then her mom
yeah,
says like, "Oh, our dad, killed our moms, and that's something that we bonded over or could bond over."
right.
Um, so yeah, that's pretty much just all I have to say about that episode.
Yeah, yeah. I do want to see that. Like you brought that, I think you brought that up a while back, but yeah, I do want to see those two eventually, even if it's just for a brief moment, maybe. I don't know. I want to see something there, kind of, the two characters
Mm-hmm.
reconnecting and kind of going like, this is, yeah, we hate our dad, basically. I think that would definitely be an interesting dynamic to play with. But yeah, straightforward episode. We get this backstory on Sophia, which is needed. But now plot keeps moving forward with episode 5, which is the most recent episode,
Yeah.
Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what do you think? I talked to Cornelius before, because he said he couldn't be on, but he said this was his least favorite episode.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I would disagree with that. Okay, so it's not my favorite episode. I think
Right.
episode
Right.
3, Blessed. I just that whole episode was just nuts to me. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's just they're hitting the gas, man. I mean, we are going downhill, racing towards the finish line, and this one just hit the gas even more. I think one of my favorite aspects of it though is it's probably unintentional, but the kind of underlying discussion or theme around uh, orphanages and that sort of thing. Because okay,
Mm,
of course, Batman, his parents dying and him being an orphan,
yeah.
and how that's impacted him. And then Riddler in the movie also had that whole monologue about what an orphan is and all that.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah. Yeah.
for a brief moment at the beginning, we kind of see Sophia second guess her choices, or
Mm,
maybe kind of regret it for a split
mm,
second, because it's like they're at the house, the police are there, and then they're walking, I think her name Gia, to the car, to the thing,
yeah.
and she looks back and
Yeah.
looks at her, and she has a backpack and it's saying like an orphanage. Oh my gosh, I've been struggling with that word lately. Orphanage.
Yep. Yep.
You've been saying like, so like she was like, oh man, like going back to what was it, episode 2 or 3, about when she's talking to her cousin and
Yes.
saying, hey, you got to be careful, how women are treated in this family, but then saying
Right.
like, man, what this girl potentially could be fated for might end up being worse than just staying in the family, because now she's an orphan, because I,
Yep.
in my revenge, killed
Wow.
everyone. So it's like, kind of for a split second looking at her, it's like, man, maybe that wasn't the right call,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what's going to happen to this girl because of me. um
Yeah.
but I thought that was just interesting, all the orphans in the show or in the movie. And because okay, the family, they're pretty well off. There's that big old mansion stuff. But do
Right.
you think that that girl's going to get any money from a crime family? Like, I don't think so.
No.
Riddler makes the point that Bruce Wayne, he still has all that money. He has Alfred, but it's like, what does
Right.
this girl have? And it's
Right.
just, so I really loved that aspect of it, and I liked how they brought the cop from the
Yeah. The
Batman,
Batman. Yeah. The
the
chief.
chief, that guy.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice touch, kind of bringing in a little more connections to the overall
Yeah.
world that they're building.
Yeah.
But man, there was a lot of surprises in this episode. I was surprised. I think the biggest surprise, in my opinion, was Squid showing up again. I didn't expect this to be going about the Crown Point,
Mm.
and then Victor sees him. He's like, "Oh crap! Like get down!" Like, and he turns his head, and I was like, "Oh, Squid's back!" So it's like, the last 3 episodes left, he's gonna be causing some trouble for sure.
Oh yeah, because you can see he was looking down the street and he saw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he. I don't know if he clearly knew who that was, or maybe he
Right.
did, and he just started forming some
Mm-hmm.
thoughts in his head. But he definitely saw him. Was like,
Yep.
yeah, he's definitely going to play a role
Mm-hmm.
down the stretch now. Um, but I want to go back to that point that you're making about her, like, feeling for her cousin's daughter
Yeah.
being an orphan. Like, do you think like do you think she still has that good inside of her still? Like it's still there? Maybe it's just shoved down, or do you think she's just completely like yes, she killed her family, but like that moment there makes me think like, as a character, like there's maybe still some of that good inside of her.
I mean, maybe a little bit. It's just one of those
Yeah.
things where like good people can do bad things, bad people can do good things. And, we even saw like, okay, look at Oz in the first episode, looking out for Victor, get him in the slushies, or what was it, episode 3 when they're at the restaurant and he's stuttering. The guy's like, oh, do you want this? And he's like, hey, dude, the man was talking. Like, don't do
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, yeah.
so it's like, okay, that was a very nice thing and a good thing to do.
Right.
But as we've seen, especially in this episode, Oz is a terrible person. So I think Sophia. Have you seen the show, the miniseries The Night of, with Riz
No.
Ahmed?
Mm-mm.
Basically, he hooks up with this girl, and they, like he hooks up with her. He wakes up. I think they did some drugs. He wakes up, finds out she's like completely murdered, like just straight up, and he freaks
Wow.
out. He
Yeah.
tries to escape. Uh, Somebody saw him leave. He gets picked up by the police, taken to the station, and he has the knife in his pocket that she was killed with. And then the
Yeah.
whole show is about him going to like, in the prison system while he's going
Right.
through the trial and everything. And then,
Yeah, yeah.
spoiler alert, but at the end he's found not guilty. But the damage was done.
Right,
His
right.
friends snitched him out. He was on drugs because he got involved in the prison. I think he got kicked out of school. He talked to his mom. His mom's like, she's like, I'm glad you're home. He's like, yeah, but you think I did it? And she's like, no, of course not. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. So it's just the whole show is kind of about the prison system and what that could be really like,
Yeah.
as opposed to whether or not he's guilty. So I think with Sophia, she had a chance. She could have still been good, but because she was in there for 10 years, I mean, it's just, I think the damage is just done there. And
Yeah.
especially with everybody in her family throwing her under the bus, going
Yeah.
along with it,
Yep.
and then her brother, the only one who actually, because they through the episode 4, they did show her brother, and it's like that kind of solidified their relationship and why she loved him so much, because he genuinely did seem like he was trying to get her out and help her, and like he's like, you're not getting to trial, like I'm going to keep fighting, you don't give up.
Right.
And then for that being like, taken from her, that was like the nail in the coffin right there. It's like, my brother's gone, everybody who ever loved me or cared for me is gone, and all I have left is, trying to do something better. And then she's like, oh man, this girl, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But it's just back to, let's take out Oz for killing
Yep.
my brother and
Yep.
getting rid of all these people.
Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. So in this episode, I think Oz is starting to like we've seen him get messy and we see him get messy, but we've probably seen him at his lowest moment now, maybe.
Yeah, I
I
definitely agree.
yeah, I'd say it's low, and he's trying to find a way out of this, and there might be a way, but right now he's playing low at Crown Point, and what was your thoughts on just everything that went just crazy for Oz?
It's just, it's a typical plot element where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're down before things start looking up, and it's like
yeah,
they've done a great job of making us care for Oz, but again, it just, it's like I am rooting for him, even though I know he's the villain. Like, I think they've done a
yep,
great job of making him like the protagonist and making us want to root for him, want to
right,
see him succeed. And then I feel like that's going to reverse again in Batman Part 2, where it's like, all right, Batman, I want you to take this guy down.
yep,
But I feel like, I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago, that we know he's probably gonna end up on top,
yeah,
but not without cost. It's gonna cost him something, and the two things that he really has is his mom
yeah,
and Eve. And Eve, we already kind of see her blow him off a bit, even though I feel like she was right. Like, I told you, not to,
yeah,
because he comes out, he's freaking out, man, because he took out Mrs. Maroney and her son. Okay, Taj, I
yes,
think, took him out, but Salvatore survived the attack. That wasn't supposed to happen, and he got out of
nope,
prison.
Yep.
Sophia wasn't supposed to know. He was supposed to double play both of them and have them take each other out. But now she knows that he killed Alberto, and that's so things are looking. And now he has to go to Crown Point. His mom blows him off. He's like, "I thought I let you down. You did." And she was saying to Victor, like, we're all the way on Crown Point. I thought Oz was winning. I thought he was, taking over. But now look at us. Now look where we are.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, he's down, and at the end, things seem a little more hopeful. But it's just, he's going to lose something very big, and I think odds are it's probably going to be his mom.
That's what
Like
I
you
was
said,
thinking.
Squid
Yeah.
probably is going to try to move on her, take her lamp or something. Like, who is this in my territory going in this building?
Yeah.
But then after as soon as he does that, it's like one of those things where, like, let's say he does it, and then you see like a big shadow or something behind him, and it's Oz, because he said to Vic, like, my mom, she's the only thing that keeps me good.
Yeah.
And it's like, if he can burn two people alive and stand there and laugh and smile about it, what's going to happen when the only thing keeping him good is gone?
Yeah.
But I think I did like the way the episode ended. I thought it was very believable about him, finding the trolleys and everything, and then that station and kind of like trying to build up underground. Because also one thing I liked about that is that's kind of what the Batcave is in the Batman. I think it's just the part that goes underneath Wayne Tower, but he was going in the tunnels, and that looked like an old like train station thing. So the fact that that's being utilized by more than one party, I thought was a nice touch.
Right. Yeah. It's getting interesting, bro. It
really is. I just
interesting.
At this point, because I didn't expect. I mean, I still think Sevilla's going to survive, but I
do too.
I think Salvatore's going to die.
Yes, easy.
Because it's just like, okay, yeah, they both hate Oz, and she wants to team up. But do you really think that she's not going to like turn around and stab you in the back the first chance she gets?
Oh, 100%.
Like, we kill Oz, all right, you're still my competition. Let's just, it's
right.
just, I just don't see how both parties can make it out of this.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that partnership, right?
Okay.
Sophia coming to Sal and offering him this deal, but she's not coming to him as a Falcone.
Right.
She's coming to him as her mother's maiden name, Gigante. What do you feel about that? That was powerful.
Yeah, I think after watching like somebody's like breakdown and talking about it, it makes sense, because I was like, she kills everybody, but she left Johnny alive. I was like, freaking Johnny, man, what's the deal,
dude?
But then using him as kind of like an example, like the last guy.
Oh yeah.
Because that scene, man, I
she
was
knew.
just and then the fact that them snatching the money with blood all over it, I was like, dang, that's.
Dude.
And I think Cornelius was right about that Dr. Julian guy kind of having a thing for her.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because she said, oh, like, what, the way that you looked at me, like the control that you had, and he's like, no, I want to be a part of it. I was like, okay, he's definitely like kind of like in love with her, wants to be like her right hand man.
Right.
But it's just, the old saying, there's no honor amongst thieves. So like, I just don't expect, like, the whole time to talk to Oz about how much they don't trust him.
Yeah.
The Maronis and all that have, had beef for generations.
Yeah.
And yeah, she killed them all, and she's coming as a Gigante, but I just don't see how they could ever fully trust each other. You know what I mean? Yeah, they have Oz, like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but they're not friends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No.
It's not like his son and then her daughter or somebody got married and they're joined a family that way. It's just Oz hurt us both. Let's take him down. But then it's like, then what? You're going to take the north side of the city. I'm going to take the south side. It just doesn't seem like it's going to work. And I think she's catching Salvatore at a time where he's compromised.
Yes.
The whole time, he was kind of looking at Oz like, what's going on? But then with his wife and son dying, and then he's stabbed, and he's so blinded with rage against Oz, she swoops in, comes to him with a really nice deal,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a Gigante, we're all that's over. It's over. Let's just take down Oz and we'll take over the city together. If it sounds like, because the way he leans in when she says that, he's like, I'm listening, but it's like, that's, so carrot and stick, man. She'll lure him in with that, and then when she doesn't need him anymore, he's gone.
Yeah. Now, do you think she'll find success under like this new name and everything, like, do you think she'll carry some success, or will she, struggle?
Um, I think she'll find success. I think a lot of people like the idea of there being like a fresh face.
Yeah,
We've
easily.
seen that in different ways. And it's like, and then I think she has a lot of credibility based off of, again, being locked up and got Arkham
Yeah.
wrongfully, her brother
Mm,
being killed by Oz, and then just her whole family being scumbags and killing her mom and hurting people. So I
yeah.
think a lot of people definitely would believe her in that, and then kind of her creating a clean slate, though. And I think because of Arkham, she definitely has what it takes to do all
Yes.
that. I mean, you saw in the first episode she killed that kid just because Oz says he was lying.
Yep.
So
Yep.
more so to prove a point that he's
Mm,
just trying to save himself, but
right.
she's got no qualms against just killing people, But I think I don't know. I think she'll find some success, but it'll be struggle.
Yeah. I think this is about to turn into a bigger war too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if the war is going to come to Crown Point.
Because I had a couple thoughts. All right, so we with the whole Squid killing Oz's mom angle, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I could also see Squid becoming Oz's subordinate, because
Hmm.
I don't know. Do you watch like the previews for the next episode?
I do a little bit. Yeah.
Did you see the one for this episode?
Yeah.
And
I saw. Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
saw
so
it.
Oz is standing there and he's like, here to take him back Gotham, and it looked like the Triad people were there.
Right. It
So he's
looked like
like, and then if you're using that
uniting
underground
people.
system, it's like to get
Yes.
all over. Yeah, I think I would see in the Batman Part 2 all the
Ooh.
police and Batman be like, how are these drugs popping up everywhere at once? Like, what's that about? So if he meets with them underground, it's like, okay, Triad, smuggle them over here to your
Yes.
territory, and then
Yes.
Squid, you guys are running things to Crown Point.
Oh
I could
yeah.
use a guy like you. You've already been doing it on your own for a minute. Why don't you be part of something bigger? So I could see him
Mm.
kind of like either Oz kills him for him hurting his mom or Victor or something, or uh,
Using.
Oz just steps in and intimidates him, kind of like Age of Ultron. When Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver go see what's his name, Claw, and he's like,
Yes.
"Oh, I could tell that you're not the guy in charge, and I only deal with that guy."
Right.
So then
Right. Right. Right.
Victor
Right.
could be like, "Yo, bro, you want to meet the guy in charge? This is him."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you Batman, Penguin's not necessarily scared of people. You saw like in the Batman, when Batman comes to the Iceberg Lounge, he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
take it easy. You know my reputation. So
Right.
maybe Squid knows who the Penguin is. I don't know." So I
Right.
could see him also kind of working for Oz, and Oz kind of using him as one of his men to, or maybe him working under Victor in a
Yeah.
way. However,
Mm.
Victor still doesn't know. They still haven't mentioned it, and maybe it'll happen to Squid. But what happened to Squid's little brother? He's like, "Yo, bro, where's my bro? I haven't seen him in a while.
Mm.
Last I checked, he was with you guys." So I don't. That
Oh.
could still come into play somehow. Victor may not know, but Squid
Yeah.
coming back might ask him, "Hey, where's my brother? Have you seen him?"
I don't
You
think I
know,
realized that was his little brother.
yeah. Because I'm pretty sure, because his dad was like, "Hey, his
Yeah.
brother's a drug dealer." He's like, he's not part of his crew. He's like,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
still his
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah. Wow.
So that could come into play too. I don't know. There's a couple ways they could go with that.
Okay. Hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, Crown Point, I mean, it's one of the most neglected areas. It'd probably be easy to get drugs,
Yeah.
popping in that area. So,
Hmm.
um, that's just kind of like he hits his lowest point and he's on the up and up.
Yep. Yep.
All he's got to worry about is that alliance, which he doesn't know about at this moment. But,
Right.
um, we'll just got to see what moves he makes.
About to get real, real
It is.
interesting. How do you feel? Like his mom, like the relationship with his mom. It's like it's rough right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
she thought like this was the moment that he
Yeah.
was gonna, be king of Gotham, and he's still
Mm-hmm.
not. And
Yeah.
she weirdly feels betrayed. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It's a weird
I
relationship.
mean, it is weird, but it's also there's a lot of layers, man. Because then, what was she
Yeah.
saying about having to be in Crown Point? This reminds me of the
Yes.
apartment I
Yes.
had. I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely hated it here. It was rough.
Right.
Maybe it brings up a lot of bad memories, and then maybe memories of her son's dying somehow.
Right.
Penguin just said I wasn't strong enough, but we don't see exactly what happened. And then, when parents go above and beyond for their kids, sometimes kids feel obligated or to like, it's my turn to take care of you.
Right,
And then
right.
when it seems like he's taking more steps backwards and forwards, um, but then again, his mom kind of maybe his mom did something that causes brothers to be in a position where they end up dying,
Mm-hmm.
fighting, and you guys, in this world we got to take what we can get and all that. So maybe his mom is also trying to live vicariously through him.
Yeah.
But it's a rough relationship, and I think he definitely loves his mom and wants to be proud. I mean, if I think that's what it is right there.
Yeah.
Everybody looks down on him. They call him like handicap. They call him the penguin. All these things that he hates,
Mm-hmm.
puts him down. You're just a driver. People don't trust you. You're fun at card games and all that. And then his mom's the one person that always believed in him and always knew that he could be more and all
Yeah.
that. And then for him to be letting her down, you know,
Yep.
I think that's, you know, and then again with them saying, okay, she's in Crown Point. Squid notices. He's like, it's my mom. Like she's the one that keeps me good. I feel
Yep.
like something happens to her and like all bets are off. He's just done.
Yep.
Um,
Mm.
so it's crazy, man. It's just so much happened in this episode.
Dude, so much has happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really, really, really intrigued to just see if we'll even see like the flashbacks of, Oz growing up. Maybe it's not a full episode, maybe it's half of an episode, maybe it's just different chunks to see what happened to his brothers, right? It's two brothers, right? Brothers?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because
See
they've
what
been
happened to his
mentioning his
brothers.
brothers, I think, since the first episode.
Yeah. So
Because she's
I'm
like, "Oh, the
wondering.
boys are taking a bath or something," and he's just looking like,
Right.
"What?" So
Yeah.
the fact that they brought up again, I definitely think that's a real possibility for us to see
Yeah.
kind of what happened to his brothers.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got 3 episodes left.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
How are we feeling? This is the home stretch right now,
Um,
and I think things are about to get even more interesting.
I'm feeling pumped, man. I mean, and then another thing that we didn't talk about with this episode is again with the cinematography. It's just been
Oh,
nuts. I love the music, the
so
whole
good,
seeing him with the headphones on, getting the tattoo, and then you kind of see what's going on in the background while
dude.
it's happening,
Oh,
along with the beat. I'm like, that was
it's
great.
so good,
Um,
so good.
just so much, and then with it just getting like this being the finish line, I expect a lot more action and
Yeah,
cinematography and just great
right.
music as well. But yeah, I mean, it's thinking, Oz again stole the mushrooms. He found a
Yes,
way
show
to
some
grow
mushrooms.
more.
Yep.
He's got a great distribution system. I love that. I think it's kind of like a metaphor for his character, how he feels the whole time. That line where he tells Victor, he said, "They're so busy with their snow stuck in the air that they'll never think to look down, like
Yeah.
underground." Because it's like
Mm,
everybody's always been looking down on me, but
right.
I'm going to come springing up from the ground, like when they're
Right.
least expect it, catch them off guard. Um, it's just they're just doing so great with this show. 3 episodes left. I'm expecting some big cliffhangers from here on out. I think there have been a lot of good ones, but with 3 episodes left, you know, seeing how it all comes together, I think it's just because I feel like I haven't been bothered by the weekly release. I thought that would get on my nerves because I just wanted to
Mm-hmm.
fly through
Watch it
it. But
all. Yeah,
time's been going. Like tomorrow's already Thursday, so Friday, Saturday, 3 more days, and
dude.
we're back to it. So
Let's
I don't
go.
mind at all.
No, not at all. Not at
Yeah,
all. It's
yeah.
it's it's really even though it can get hard because you want to keep watching,
Mm-hmm.
but it's my favorite model, man. I love a weekly release. It just keeps you
Yeah.
waiting and just brewing on that
Mm.
episode, and then you come back with another episode. I love
Yeah.
it.
Because
Even
I
though,
think the thing they've done, it's like taken that concept but modernized it
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
you know what it was like back in the day.
Oh yeah,
Oh, a
yeah.
commercial break. Let's run to the bathroom, get
Yes,
some snacks. Oh,
yes.
it's back on. You got to run back, but
Right.
it's weekly.
No.
But I could pause it. I could pick it right
Right.
back up.
Right.
I don't
Right.
have to worry about that. And
Nope.
it's not like what did I miss? I could just
Right.
rewind it. I can
Yep.
rewatch it. So
Oh yeah,
I I don't mind it. I like it. I like it
yeah,
a lot. It gets the
yeah,
buzz going. We're talking about it week after week and kind of just get
exactly.
to speculate on what we think is going to happen. And
Right.
it's been fun. It's been a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. I love it. All right, I got a question. I
Go
think this has
ahead.
been answered already, but part of me feels that maybe it's a lie. Do we see, at least maybe in the last episode, maybe in like a end credit scene, do we see the Batman?
Oh,
I,
that is. I don't know because I've definitely heard from somebody like the who's in this industry who's
right.
seen the whole show obviously because that's their
Okay.
job, who said
Oh,
not for definitely don't expect it because a lot of people I I don't I so I want to believe them. However, with the
right.
way things are going, I think it would be
Shh.
great.
It'd be cool.
However, I don't know. I just haven't thought about it. I haven't thought about it at all because I've
Yeah.
just been so wrapped up with what's going on.
Yeah.
Because I think I think not. I think they saw what happened with WandaVision with everybody thinking it's gonna be Mephisto and all that, and then
Yeah.
what it
Yeah.
ended up
Yeah.
being, and it's just like
Not.
drop the ball. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think coming out of the gate and saying absolutely for sure no,
No.
then people will just accept the show for what it is and
Yeah.
not
Not
there won't
worry
be that
about.
drop off of like
Yeah.
oh, but I think maybe it's just like the way that the show opened with like the recap and like seeing Penguin look out above, just seeing maybe Bruce Wayne walk into the Batcave or something or something. I feel like it's too hard not to because even my mother in law has been watching the show and she sent me a
Okay.
text out of the blue the
Yeah.
other day and she's like, "Where's Batman when all these thugs are just like killing people?" So yes, Gotham City's pretty big, and Crown Point and all that's like the outskirts where it's flooded and all that. But it's like if if one of the biggest crime families in Gotham just completely gets wiped out overnight, and
Bro. That's
the
huge.
son's getting killed, like Alberto, and then all this, and then Maroni breaks out of jail, or they're supposedly just letting prisoners out of Blackgate left and right. I
Yeah.
can't see how Batman could like let that go for so long because in
Right.
the end of the Batman, the National Guard came in, they were
Yes.
evacuating people, so it's
Yeah.
not like there's no police force or anybody
Right.
anywhere. So it's
Right.
like I just don't see how it'd be possible for Batman not to understand or know anything that's
Anything.
going on.
Yep.
Because Bruce Wayne, he's always used that playboy persona to kind of disguise
Right.
himself, but that doesn't mean he's never been in that state of being and also being oblivious to what's going on. He's
Yep.
always knowing what's going on. So I'm going to give you 10% chance we see Batman. I'm going to go
10%.
10%.
I'll take the 10. I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it. I don't need like I don't obviously not a full scene or whatever. Like I just need like a little snippet, something for me
Mm-hmm.
like to just taste and feel. Like even if it's
Right.
not Batman, let's just say it's just Bruce Wayne. Let's just say it's Rob
Mm-hmm.
as Bruce.
Yeah.
Even that would be really tasteful. It doesn't
Yeah.
need to happen, but it would
Mm-hmm.
be tasteful for it to happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I think I
Okay.
was talking to my friend when I screenshotted the text from my mother-in-law, sent it to a friend of mine. He was saying
Yeah.
like he did think that she had a good point because I'm like they they're focusing on the Penguin and everything's going on. It's not like in Daredevil where the Hand or the Kingpin are referencing the Battle of New York every now and
Right.
then, all the time as a way of like there's people are so focused on the battle that allowed them to swoop in and
Do
buy
stuff.
up property and stuff. And he
Yeah.
was just saying like, however, they did like talk about they had something they still have to like worry about or something. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe just even a line of like, oh, now we, I think going to based off of what he said, we might just get a line of like, oh, the Maronis and all them are gone. The only thing that's left is the bat, or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
I could see
I
that
could see
happening. I
that.
think that'd
I
be
could
the
see that.
closest we get. It was like at the
Yep.
very end when
Yeah.
all these other remaining enemies are just all but gone, and he realizes the only one thing that's stopping him from having complete control over the city is the
Yep.
Batman.
That. Yep.
I think,
Okay.
I think that's as far as I think we'll get.
Okay. All right. I'm not completely mad about that. Just a nice little hint, you know.
Yeah, just a hint, you know, bringing it all back together of like, you know, the Batman, you know, because I think that's what they did at the end of the Batman. He's like, oh, things
Yep.
are going to get worse before it gets better. It's going to be a power grab, and they kind of showed the Penguin, and I think that was before the show was even announced.
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
him, you know, circling back to that as a way to, you know, tie it back into, hey, leads into the next movie.
Right.
I think, you know, it's like, okay, the Bat, and everybody's like, okay, so next would be the big confrontation, because you and I talked about this. We still don't know how much of a villain Penguin's going to be
Yeah.
in the film. We just know he's going
Right.
to be in it.
Right.
My friend and I, we were talking. He said, like, I heard rumors that they might be doing a Court of Owls storyline in the second film, but I think that it's far too soon for that. I mean, if he's only been Batman for 2 years,
Yeah.
and then they're Court of Owls, I think
Yeah.
you should probably set it up in the second film and then have that be the third film.
Third film. Yeah.
But I
Oh.
think the Penguin should at least be a major second antagonist, if not the main one, because it's
Yep.
like you're going to give him the whole show
Right.
only for him to be like a minor part. I was like, I
Right.
just don't see that happening.
Nah. I think he's definitely going to be probably as much as he was in the first one, maybe more.
Yeah, because if it's supposed to be the crime saga, this movie could be about, hey, there's new drugs on the streets. Where are these coming from?
Yes.
You know, who's behind it all? How can I
Yeah.
take it down? And maybe pointing to the Penguin, you know, at the end. So I can see that probably being more realistic than Court of Owls.
Right.
Because it's like, I just don't see why we take all the time to give Penguin a whole show, build him up to the point where he's the Penguin that we know, only to have him be in the movie as a minor or secondary antagonist. He's got to have a pretty sizable role, I think. But we'll see. 3 episodes left. Maybe after next week, my opinion will completely change.
Right.
I just don't know. It's just
too
much going on. I can't. I just gotta. You know, I joked with the same guy. It's like, asked if he had a time machine I could borrow so I could just watch the rest of the show. And
dude,
then, you know,
seriously,
because that's just so much to talk about. So much. Because I even said, if they're not going to, obviously, but if they wanted to, this could be a perfect like Scarface type story where he's working and he gets it all, and then at the end just loses everything. It's like, how tragic would that be? Like, bro. You know, that episode, the first one where he's talking to like, oh, could you imagine to be remembered like that? And then he gets it all, but then loses it all, and that's how he's remembered. And like, it could be so Shakespearean in that aspect, but with it being the Penguin and he's being in the Batman Part 2, I know that's not going to happen.
They're building up. Yeah, they're building it up.
There's just so many ways the show could go. I mean,
oh, that would be crazy if that was true.
Yeah. But no Batman. If that was just the show, that would be a phenomenal ending.
That would be a good show.
So, what are your biggest? I don't want to say expectations, but what do you think are the 3, maybe one thing that you think is most likely to happen by the end of the show?
Most likely to happen. Well, somebody close to Oz is gonna die. I think somebody close to him is gonna die easily.
I think his mom's more likely, but
yeah, I can see the mom being more likely.
Eve said she wasn't going with him.
Right.
I felt like she was kind of gaslighting him in a bit, because she was like, "No, like I told you, I didn't want, you know." And you shook us all in front of her faces, you know. But then she's like, "Oh, I know you're just having a tough time. You'll be back on top soon." I was like, "Whoa, like which is it? Are you with me or you're not?" You know?
Right.
But with his mom being at Crown Point, Victor being the one watching over her, because then Squid's finding out, because at the end of the episode, they're all the way across town in the tunnels.
Yeah.
So they're, you know, his mom's all alone. You know, what's she gonna do if Squid comes, or maybe
which can opens the door for something.
Yeah, or maybe in her dementia she slips and tells Squid something he shouldn't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. So I think definitely probably his mom's gonna die, and I don't know. I think that's probably the only thing I could think of.
Yeah,
for sure.
I would definitely go. His mom is my top choice, and then maybe Eve. I don't know. I think Sophia saw that interaction at the club, and that could turn into something. It could be something that can be used down the line. So we'll see.
Because I mean, she knows a lot about him at this point. She knows again about Eve. She knows about Victor. Yep. She knows about, You know, I mean, he was her driver for years, so she knows him
Right.
pretty well.
Yep.
You know, so I just one thing I was shocked about, I couldn't believe they actually did was when Salvatore's yelling at him, he's like, "You are cooked." He's like, "Oh, it's funny you say that. Why don't you call your wife?" And she answers. I was like, "Dang."
I'm like, dude,
They had him. They
your
had to have
wife
him
was
go there.
literally cooked.
Yeah,
Your
with
wife
her
was
son.
literally-
I think it was kind of weird though, because I think somebody pointed out like, how did she not smell that her son was covered in gas?
Yeah,
Because I mean, he was dripping wet, and I was
he
just
was
like,
dripping.
you
And
know,
she just that was weird. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know that whole the ambush thing is like, if you were that, she should have just shot him. Like if she had those guys up there, she should have shot him as soon as her son came out. Because
Yep.
why wait until she got her son back before
Right.
they started shooting? So he's like, they would have both been fine if she just
Yep.
popped him as soon as her son came out.
Because it was what it was like 2 against what, like 4?
Yeah, it was
3 or 4?
her guy, and then the 2 guys up top, and it was just Oz and Bruno, I think his name was.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then her son gets out and he walks all the way over her, and then they start shooting. It's like, you had a good like solid minute, you know, because it's not like he ran, he was bound, he just walked. I was like, come on now, how could you fall for that, especially with a guy that you don't trust that much?
Nope. Now,
but
do you
hey,
think,
man, they're gone.
Now, do you think if they had if they didn't ambush them, do you think he would have set them on fire still?
Yeah, I think that was always the plan, because it happened at the same time he paid off that guard to kill Salvatore, so he's trying to wipe them all out at once, one fell swoop, you know.
Yep.
So because he thought, hey, Sophia killed them all I got, if I take care of the Maronis, then the Maronis, then it's just her, and then she's small potatoes. So then that's when he starts panicking when he calls the cop or calls the guard, and then Salvatore picks up. He's like, "Oh, hey, Oz, you know, thanks for the keys. Now I'm out." That's when he starts freaking out and says, "All right, we got to go to Crown Point."
Yep.
So if it wasn't for that, I still think he definitely would have still let him on fire. I just think that he just thought he'd killed 2 birds with 1 stone, and like we talked about earlier, it just didn't go his way, the way that he planned. It seemed like everything in this show.
Right.
So yeah. And then he almost lost all the mushrooms in that moment too. So
that was crazy too.
He was just like, no, like there was a perfect plan and it's all falling apart. Now I got to go run and hide because they're coming after me.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right.
Yep.
3 more left. 3 more left.
3 more weeks.
And it's been great. I've been loving.
And I still, however, will say that I still don't want there to be a season 2. I remember heard some rumors where they're saying like there's always room in Gotham, the stories to tell, but I'm like, okay, after the show, what more could you possibly do?
Yeah, you kind of gotta let it go.
We don't know what the second movie is going to be. You know, you get a show about a second character,
right?
And maybe that leads into the third movie. That's fine, but I can't see you doing more Penguin because it just doesn't. You'd be milking it at that point, I think. And it just wouldn't work, I don't think.
Yeah. I don't think Matt Reeves is trying to milk this.
No.
I think he's trying to tell specific stories and then be done, which I respect.
Yeah, so Crime Saga, I think it's cool, you know, and how much time do you think has passed since the first episode? Because I think Julian had said that she'd only been out of Arkham for a few weeks. And she needed to take it easy. So it's been a few weeks.
That sounds about right. A few
but
weeks.
It just doesn't. Nobody's like all throughout the Batman. He's writing in his diary, so he's keeping track of the dates. But in this show, nobody's really doing that. So we just don't know how long it's been.
Yep. Nope. It's just I think because it feels like the Wild Wild West right now, and things are just happening. So nobody's. That's a good observation.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of like again the way I talked about last time. I think of his Crime Saga and like how much long after the show does the Batman pick up, but then it's like how much time in between the second and third film is going to pass. Like, is it going to be a couple more years? Is it going to be even more seasons, or is it still going to be the whole time? He's just going to be kind of like a relatively young Batman. I don't know. I feel like that affects the way I think about things, though.
Right. Do you think he'll get a new suit in this new one? You think he'll get a newer suit?
I don't see why not.
I feel like it's
I
usually
think so.
standard. It's usually standard for superhero movies to do a newer suit of
Especially
some
in the
sorts.
MCU.
Yeah, but
Because I think it's just like like kind of like Iron Man, where it's like, okay, something happened and it causes him to adapt. So you
yes,
had that scene in the Batman where he had to jump off the GCPD building and the
yeah,
wingsuit didn't really work.
right,
I feel like he's probably going to modify that a bit. It's like, okay, what can I do differently to
right.
prevent that from happening?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I think, and I wonder how much things are going to change, because obviously you just tweaking a muscle car is a far cry from the Tumbler in like Batman Begins, where it's
Oh yeah.
like I wonder how high tech he's actually going to get with his
Get.
tech.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like he's going to have a slightly different suit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'd be down for it.
Yeah,
Like to see
yeah.
him continue to grow. All
Yeah.
right. I think that's another episode in the
All right.
books. I'm ready for Sunday as always. I know you're ready for Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be right back here, talking more about the Penguin as we are in the home stretch of the show with 3 more episodes left. Josiah, thank you for joining me as always. Hopefully we can get Cornelius back on here next week. And to everybody else listening, thanks for listening. And we're going to see you next time on the Real Table Podcast. Y'all be safe. Peace.
Peace.
Once again, thank y'all so much for joining me today on the Real Table Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and even comment. I want to hear your thoughts and I want to hear your opinions. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Real Table Pod and on Twitter at The Real Table. And don't forget to also check me out on therealtable.com for news, articles, and reviews. I will see y'all soon. Peace.